Garden friends, AJ here. So what has AJ been up to? So it is Sunday, June 30th, pretty much July, and right now I'm battling a lot of insect pressure. All right, the Japanese beetles have, for whatever reason, decided to come out later on in the season. Usually they're out, I'd say, late May, early June, all right? But they decided to come out a little later, and they are attacking all of my roses, all right? So my roses already experienced their first flush, I wanna say the month of June, all right? All of the month of June, they've experienced their first flush, and it was glorious. It was a glorious time. But, so that's a good thing, right? So now in the tail end of the first flush, well, actually, you know what? I'm kind of like cruising through, coming up on the second flush. So let's say we're coming up on the second flush, and all of the Japanese beetles recognize that, and so they're all attacking the new growth. All of the new flower buds that are nice and tender, they decided to come out now and attack that. So the good thing is, at least I experienced the first flush without the Japanese beetle pressure. So I'm trying to do things a little more organically. So I'm using this product, which is Earth's Ally, all right? So it has a lot of natural and benign ingredients that won't necessarily affect your pollinators. So it's got rosemary oil, clove oil, peppermint oil. It does have some things I can't pronounce. It's got glycerol, monooleate, ethyl lactate, and ascorbyl palmitate. I guess I did pretty good. So yeah, I'm using this, I'm diluting it. I'm doing a 20% of this product with 80% water. And I'm using this pump sprayer right here. So let me turn this camera around, show you guys exactly what I'm working on. So in this part shade garden right here, I have the centerpiece of huge arborvitae, all right? A nice green backdrop, and that's in the back of the border. The front of the border, I have this evergreen hedge of boxwood, and on the interior, I have these crocus roses. So these crocus roses, they're companion planted with some iris, and I think that's it for now. But yeah, so they're all dealing with a lot of Japanese beetle pressure. I said Japanese maple. Yeah, they're all dealing with a lot of Japanese beetle pressure. So let me zoom you guys in and see what I'm working on. All right, guys, so closer inspection. We see our culprit right here. Everyone pretty much knows what a Japanese beetle looks like. But for those that don't, there's your culprit. And you see how they decimate the leaves. They chew these leaves up, all the new growth, the new flower buds, they attack those. I have an example over here. Let's see if I can zoom that in. Oh, focus. Right here. See? They chew these buds to bits and all the new growth. So that being said, like I said, I'm using that solution of Earth's Ally, and I also have a pail of soapy water. So instead of pulling off every single freaking Japanese beetle, I'm just cutting off that branch and I'm tossing the branch in this pail, because no one, and I repeat, no one has time to be pulling off every single Japanese beetle. Who's got that time, right? So yeah, chop the branch off, toss it in this pail of soapy water, and keep it moving. And then I treat the entire bush, mostly the new growth, with the solution. See what I'm talking about? Hopefully this can focus. But they've totally chewed out that flower bud. You know, and like, what's the whole point? You're growing roses so that you can experience the flowers. Whew. It's starting to get really hot, and it's only 11 o'clock. Yeah, so I keep it really simple. I ID the problem. I mean, there's some other issues too. I noticed some white fly, and besides the Japanese beetles, I'm trying to identify one other bug. It looks like a moldy little white bug that it likes to act as if, you know, you can't see it. And so what I do with those, I squish those when I see them. I'm gonna have to ID those, go on the insect database and see what may come up when I put in that description. But yeah, I ID the problem. I come out here before it gets extremely hot and scorching. And another thing to note is I treat these roses with that solution on an overcast day. And right now it's relatively cloudy. I think later on in the evening we're due to get some rain. So I keep in mind, I'm very conscious as to when I apply this solution on these roses, or any plants for that matter. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through now and treat with that pump sprayer, with that solution I showed you guys earlier, and we should be good to go. Yes, I pretty much saturate the plant, right? And I'll reapply this solution weekly. Now, if I see the pressure really, really bad, I may bump it up to like twice a week, but I'll make sure I'll do it in the evenings. And I keep forgetting I have this emotion over here. This emotion shrub rose that I see it's suffering from some, I call it white ash. But before I head over there and treat that, this coneflower, I'm gonna show you guys up close some of these insects and the residue they seem to leave behind. And I'd like some help from more experienced gardeners out there to let me know what that is. Now, I'll do my research myself, but yeah, I'm really curious. All right, zooming in this coneflower here, this echinacea. Is that a Japanese beetle? I'm not sure. It appears to be on the smaller side, and it doesn't have those shiny iridescent wings. And on this stem right here, you see all those little mottled, but I don't know what they are. They're bugs, clearly, but yeah, I need some ID on these. Oh, I gotta get that sucker right there. That right there is a holly tree sucker. I gotta get that pretty soon. All right, so let's treat this emotion. Look at these leaves. They got all these holes in them. It may had a little bout with the Japanese beetles though. So some of you guys may or may not know, who follow me on the channel, that I pretty much have a woodland garden. All right, that's what AJ's Green Thumb works in. There's a lot of shade, there's a lot of filtered light. I do have some strictly sun areas, but for the most, it's a woodland garden. So in this woodland garden, I deal with a lot of voles, all right? And voles are, you have voles, which are the vegetation eaters. They eat the roots. Then you have moles, which eat grubs and, I don't know, worms and whatever else is underneath the soil. So you got moles, voles, and gophers, all right? And gophers can destroy your lawn too. But I mostly, and I was able to identify it, I mostly deal with voles because with this emotion right here, after I planted it, early spring, I noticed that it had a lot of dieback, all right? The stems started to shrivel up and they weren't green anymore. And then one day I came up to the rose and I just yanked on it, all right? So I just yanked on the rose and it fell over. Pulled it out the ground and most of the roots were eaten up. Yeah, they mess with the coneflower. They mess with the gara. I mean, it's like whatever they like to eat. Whatever they feel like eating. So I have to really stock up on that castor oil solution. And since I'm over here, I'm treating these phlox right here. Yeah, there we go. All right, guys, so we're all done. Most of these were pruned back. A lot of the culprits were drowned in that bucket of soapy water right here. Check out this clematis. It's trying to trail on this boxwood right here. Yeah, and I noticed for this particular clematis, it's only gotten about 4 feet high this season. But most of what you see here is the sweet autumn clematis that I can't wait for it to bloom. Yeah, guys, so right now we're dealing with a drought. We're dealing with a drought in the mid-Atlantic here in Maryland, Zone 7B. We frequently hit temps of upper 90s, heat index, triple digits, 101, 105. All right, so that solution does not fight Japanese beetles because they're back. They're back, and not only are they back, they are on leaves that clearly are still kind of moist with that solution. So we're gonna have to find another attack on these Japanese beetles. But I'm sure that solution, which has, by the way, let me share what the ingredients are. All right, so we're just gonna have to ignore the sound of aircraft. So the ingredients in here, we got, I think I might have shared this with you guys, I don't know, but here we go. It's got rosemary oil, clove oil, peppermint oil. I did share this with you guys. But there's another aircraft. Yeah, so it kills and repels mites, aphids, whiteflies, and other soft-bodied insects. Used for healthier vegetables, fruits, ornamentals, such as my roses. But it doesn't say anything about Japanese beetles. So, you know, the battle continues. Even though I took you guys through that entire process, you know, it may keep the pressure of the other insects down, but it definitely doesn't repel Japanese beetles. It's really hard to fight Japanese beetles. It's more of a hands-on approach where you got to get in there and grab them and dwindle their populations. But again, no one really has time for that. So it's just a necessary evil that you're going to have to deal with when you're dealing with, if you're taking the organic route, I'll put it like that. There is a product that can introduce nematodes to your soil, all right? And I think it's injected into the soil, and what it does, because essentially those beetles, they were grubs, which are the larvae stage. You kind of have to look at the life cycle of the culprit, and that's how you keep that pressure down before it even becomes an issue. But that only deals with the larvae and the beetles in your garden, right? Because they can come from next door. Let's say next door, they don't treat their soil with nematodes, right? So all it takes is a matter of time for those Japanese beetles to find their way into your property and go to town, have a buffet. That was just a helicopter. So yeah, this area, this region, we experience a lot of air traffic. We've got DCA, which is Reagan, and that's a national airport. We've got Dulles, it's a little farther away. We've got BWI, which is up in close to Baltimore. Then we also have several military bases nearby, and they have aircraft too that they launch. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I kind of scale back in doing a lot of recording too, because I gotta tell you guys, recording is a lot of work, especially if you're solo. You're doing it solo, yeah, you gotta take that time out to adjust your camera, to get into that perfect shot, that frame, make sure that's everything in that frame. You gotta make sure your audio is good. You know, it's no small feat, you know. So I still like to take you guys along and show you my journey, and it's great for creating a journal, a garden journal, as to what you did and what times of the year. So yeah, so with that, thanks for hanging with me on this episode, and I will see you guys on the next one.